Yes, everyone, welcome back to another episode on the Coach Rafaz podcast. Now, guess what? There is no guest. It is me. I am the guest and I am the host all in one. Now, I am going to go through the most frequently asked questions that I receive on my page, and we're just going to blitz through them. I love that word, blitz, because it means I'm just going to go through each question, bang, 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 and hopefully this doesn't take too long. So question one is, what is the key to creating a strong team environment? Now, there are so many aspects to this, but for me, it's understanding collective suffering. Now, what on earth does that mean? So collective suffering means that we all suffer as a team. As we all know, with families, with life, when you suffer together, it naturally brings you closer. So, for example, if there is a heavy defeat that the team experiences, the whole team has to feel the pain and the burden of that loss. If one player messes up during training or messes around during training, doesn't take it seriously, if the whole team can get punished, that's collective suffering. That brings the team closer because that player is now being held accountable for their actions and now the whole team are paying for it. So as a team, if you can suffer together, that brings the team closer. Because if you look at any successful team, you'll see that during those difficult moments, they stayed together. That's the key. That's what separates a good team from a not so good team. It's during the difficult moments, who do you become? What does the team become in those difficult moments? Do we find solutions? Do we stick together? Or do we start to point fingers? Do we start to blame our losses on one person or on the game plan? But if we are a team, we all stick together. The manager, the coaching staff, the physio, the tactical analyst, the team, the captain, the goalkeepers, everyone sticking together during those difficult moments, finding solutions. And then when you triumph, when you succeed, when you have those victories, you'll know what you went through. And that brings the team together. Understanding when you have a trophy, for example, at the end of the season, you look at that trophy, that physical object, and it's not just a physical object. That represents the suffering, how much you've endured behind the scenes. And only you and the team will know that. So that's, for me, the key. That's what brings the team together. That's what makes the team as united as possible. Now, next question is, do you justify your lineup decisions to players who are on the bench or have been dropped? Do I justify my decisions? It just depends on the player. For example, if I have a very intelligent player, he will automatically know why he's not starting. He will know that, okay, for example, we're playing against a long ball team. He's a ball player. He's not really comfortable heading the ball, so he'll know. So I would know that he knows, so I don't need to justify it to him. But there are certain players that always need that arm around the shoulder or just need that reassurance that they are within my plans. But for that particular game, they are not as suited, for example, as their replacement for that game. So it all depends on the player. Football is a very conditional sport. It all depends on that particular circumstance, that particular situation. Same goes with tactics. Same goes with playing against one team. And then the next week you're playing against a different team. Your game plan could be adaptable. It could be adjusted. So it's all conditional. I personally like to keep everyone on the same page. I like to be as open and as honest as possible because that's what I believe in. So for sure, if I feel the player will benefit from me letting them know, then I'll let them know. But there are some players who, no matter what you say to them, they'll still be like, oh, if I was good enough, I would start. That gets them hungrier. That gets them to train harder. And then, yeah, they could be starting in the next game. As I said, it just depends on the player. And question number 3, how do you deal with a player who isn't happy with their game time? So firstly, how do I say it? It's about me being transparent, but they have to be honest with themselves as well. So it's a two-way thing. It's not just me telling them the truth and still them disagreeing with it, because the perspective is that the coach knows or wants to do what's best for the team. So if they're not happy with their game time and the team is winning and playing well, they need to understand that there's a reason, there's a game plan that's working, and they are just not in that game plan for this moment of time. But that obviously can change. We know football seasons aren't consistent. We have 3 good games where one player isn't in the plans, and in the next game, we don't play well, and in the game after that, that player is starting. But the player needs to be transparent with themselves. Do I really deserve to start? Have I really trained well? If I have trained well, why would I not be starting? Oh, is it my in-game performances? Is it my attitude, my application? What is it? Let me ask the coach, because I know that I've trained well, so there must be another reason. Let me find out from the coach. And then when they come to me with that question, I give them the honest answer. I talk them through my way of thinking, my game plan. And that's it. I think I have nothing to hide with players. I don't want to hide anything from players. I like to say things as they are, and hopefully they can take it. And if they can't take it, well, they need to learn to take it, because that's football. You have to look yourself in the mirror comfortably and sit there with the truth. And that truth could be a difficult truth, that in this moment of time, you're not good enough to be starting. So you have to put in the work behind the scenes. You have to learn from the player in your position. You have to ask the coach, who is always there to help you, to make you a better player. And if you do think you're good enough to start, the coach has a game plan. Let's trust the game plan. And if the game plan doesn't go well, guess what? The coach will know, obviously, and then in the next game, you might get that chance to play, because the coach would adapt the game plan. So it's all about trusting the coach, but also being transparent with yourself. That's what I really value in a player. Self-honesty, looking themselves in the mirror, self-reflection, and being very accountable and being very precise with their own development, with their own ability in relation to the rest of the team. So I'll always be as open as possible, but I also ask for the player to be transparent and honest with themselves. Question number 4. What do you say in a post-match team talk after a heavy defeat? So, after a heavy defeat, I like to say the truth. I like to be as honest as possible. So, if we've lost because of my game plan, I'll say, team, that's my fault. I hold my hands up. If I feel like the game plan was there and the players didn't execute it, I'll say that. I'll say whatever is needed to be said, because the truth in those difficult moments, once again, brings the team closer. And then in that moment, you'll see who the real characters are. Who are the ones that will just accept it and sit there in silence, and who are the ones that will start to try and point fingers. Because those are the players that need to be cut from any team. Because in those difficult moments, for example, after a heavy defeat, it's that collective suffering of sitting there, finding solutions for the next game. And as I said, if it's literally my fault because of the game plan, and during the game I've failed to adapt and I've made wrong substitutions, I put my hand up, no problem. So it's all about the truth for me. I always look towards the truth, especially in difficult moments. So for example, after a heavy defeat, definitely I will take maybe 2-3 minutes to reflect. Or sometimes you don't reflect because it's so instinctive, it's so obvious what the situation was, what the issues were, so you just say it how it is. Question number 5. Tactics, man management, unity, in which order and why? I would go team unity first, man management, and then tactics. Yes, I love the tactics. Obviously, you've seen my page, but as a football manager and as a football coach, it's the team unity first, because you could have the worst tactics in the world, but the team unity will get you over the line. You could have the worst tactics in the world, but your man management skills could still get you over the line, because man management and unity are very closely linked. But once you have those two, and then you implement the tactics, then you could create an unstoppable team. But personally, it's the unity that comes first. If I don't see a united team, I just don't feel connected. I'm thinking for myself as well. I want to look at a team where we are all united, we are all fighting for one thing, for one cause. And if I don't see that, I can't connect. I can't be me as a football coach if I don't see that within the team. So that's what I prioritize first. I prioritize team unity, team bonding, togetherness, so then I can be me, so I can feel like I am genuinely part of the team, and now everyone is buying into it. Everyone is working together for one cause, which is winning the league or finishing top 4 or staying in the league. Whatever the ambitions are, we are all working towards it. And next question is, what's the toughest moment you've experienced as a manager, and what did you learn from it? When I knew that my lineup was not the strongest lineup, and I still went ahead with it. I did not listen to my gut instinct. That moment right there, because as the game unfolded, I saw what I had thought before the game. So before the game, I knew that if I play this player here, this will happen. But I doubted myself, and I said, you know what? Let's give this player a chance. and during the game, what I thought actually happened. And that feeling right there, I'm not going to forget that feeling, because now when I select my lineups, when I select my teams, I make sure that I have no feeling like that. So that's what I learned from it. I learned to follow my gut instinct, to not really second guess myself. So if I have an idea that might seem a bit strange to the rest of the team, but I feel like it'll work, I'm going to do it. But if I say, you know what, that actually feels weird, let's go with the normal or with the safe idea, but that doesn't sit well with me, and I go ahead with that, I don't want to do that ever again. And I'm not going to do that ever again. So that feeling I had when I saw what I saw in my mind in real life, I'm not doing that again. So that's what I learned. Go with your gut instincts. The ideas that you have that resonate with you, that's the one you should focus on. Because when you focus on your idea only and no one else's, then you can really invest yourself into that idea. You can find more solutions within that idea, because every idea within football will have a problem. But if you're fully invested and if it's your idea and you don't care about what anyone else thinks, that's when you can find solutions. That's when you can really be you within that idea. So when I played that certain player in that certain position, I wasn't me on the sideline. I just didn't feel like I was part of that game. And that feeling is a feeling I never want to have again. I'm there to enjoy my time as a football manager, as a football coach. I just want to sit there, enjoy. I feel like it's like an artwork. So I'm an artist, and what I'm trying to create is just a work of art. And I just want to enjoy watching art in action. And let's say if I'm doing something that doesn't really sit well with me, I'm not being an artist. And no one should ever have that feeling when they are standing on the sideline as a manager, but they still don't feel connected with the team. So I've learnt to never ever second guess that strange idea. So there might be an idea where the captain might look at it and be like, ooh, I'm not sure about that. Or the chairman might look at it and be like, are you sure? The team might be unfamiliar with it. But if I really feel like that will work, I'm going to go ahead with it, because now I can invest myself into that idea, get everyone on board because of my high energy within that idea, because it's my idea, and then put it into action. And that in itself is what football is about for me. And if that doesn't work, I've learnt from it, and now I'm wiser, I'm more experienced, and I can go into the next game with more knowledge. And I can never lose from that. I can never lose from pursuing my idea. So that's what I've learnt from my short time as a football manager so far. Now, next question is how to deal with poor discipline and disruptive players during training sessions. I'm going to go back to collective suffering. If one player is being disruptive and is bringing the levels of seriousness below standard, everyone pays the price for it. So it could be a punishment where we're doing sprints back and forth, and if possible, the manager, the coach, can get involved as well. That's what I do with my teams. If one player decides to disrupt the training session or is not as serious as the other players, we all pay the price for it. Because in a football match, one player's mistake costs the whole team. In the 89th minute, it's a cup final. One player's bad mistake from them not being fully focused leads to the team losing the cup final. So in the training session, we're going to replicate that feeling where if one player is messing about and is not serious, the whole team pays for it. It could be like a military style workout. We all get on the line, 50 push-ups, 50 squats, sprint to the other goal and back. And that's one run. And you do that 3 times. And that pain is what will bring the team together, because now that player cannot afford to mess around again, because the rest of the team will say, look, what are you doing? Don't let us down again. And that player intrinsically will know that I can't let the team down again. I can't let my coach do it. That's not fair on the coach, right? So that's how I do it. Now, everyone has their own way of doing things. If one player is repeatedly disrupting the training session, then that's where you have a very strict conversation with them and say, do you want to be a part of the team? Like, what are your ambitions? Because perhaps our ambitions aren't aligned. It's not necessarily about being aggressive or angry with them. It's just about letting them know, if you're here to have fun and always laugh and mess about in training, then there are other teams that accept that. But this team is slightly different. So if we are on different paths, I don't have an issue. Just know that this isn't the place for that. And then it's down to them whether they want to adapt their behavior or not. But personally, I think collective suffering, where the coach and the staff can get involved in that punishment, can really make that player or a group of players accountable for their actions. And they know not to do it again. So that's how I personally deal with disruptive plays during training sessions. How do I analyze my team's performances? So we record all of our matches. We play on a Saturday and I watch the game 3 times before the next Saturday. So I have 1 week to watch the game 3 times. I watch it once as a fan, as a spectator. Then I watch it as an analyst the day after or 2 days after. So when I watch it as a fan, I leave it for 2 days just to let it brew in my mind, just to let it sit in my mind. And then the next time I watch it as an analyst. So I'm looking at the exact movements. Are we doing it at the right time? What was the game plan? Are we executing it? If we are under pressure, why are we under pressure? Have the opposition changed formation? Did I notice it on the sideline when it was happening? Or am I noticing it now after the game? Oh, so I need to learn to be more aware of what the opposition do. So it's analysis, self-analysis, and also team analysis. Every player individually. Oh, this player has lost the ball 3 times. Why? Why have they lost the ball 3 times? Is it their adjustment? Okay, so I'm going to send them a private text. Let's talk about it. If it's the overall team, we send it to the team. We talk about it as a team. So the next time I watch it is as an analyst. So first as a fan, then as an analyst, and then thirdly as a coach. So now I'm looking at it from a coaching perspective where I'm thinking about the training session that we had. Did we actually implement what we trained? Because if we didn't, why? And that's where I get more solutions. I find more questions and answers, and I think like a coach, and I use that third time I watch it to plan the next training session and the next game. So I look at the performance from a coaching perspective, who played well, who didn't play well, who made an impact when they came on, do they deserve to start the next game? Okay, so in training, let's give them the opportunity to show what they can do in preparation for the game the following Saturday. So I watch it 3 times. Does it get boring? No, because it's football and I enjoy it. So yeah, I'll watch it 3 times. The next question, a player has asked me, how do I become great in my position? Now, when you say great, that's such a broad term. Let's adapt that and say, how do I become efficient? How do I become effective in my position? Now, what I would say is you watch players that play in your position, but players that play similar to you. So if you look at football right now, if you say you're a centre midfielder, there are so many different types of centre midfielders. What type of centre midfielder are you? And when you watch football, who plays similar to you? So who has the same technical traits as you? Who has the same profile as you? And watch them. Watch players like that and understand, if I was in that position, can I do that action? So for example, if I'm a technical, left-footed, attack-minded number 8, I'm looking at Martin Odegaard. I'm watching Martin Odegaard and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm actually playing as Odegaard at the Emirates and he receives the ball on the half turn, can I visualize myself doing that? Yes. Okay, now how has he done that? I'm going to break it down. I'm going to watch it in slow motion. I'm going to really mentally visualize myself being Odegaard, receiving the ball from Saliba or from Declan Rice, whoever it is. I'm receiving the ball. I'm really imagining myself as Odegaard and then playing. And then you start to study their common traits. What makes them so impressive? Is it their ability to dictate the game when it's chaotic? Is it their ability to break lines? Is it driving with the ball? Whatever it is, and you can relate to that strength, you just focus on that. In your individual training, in your team training, you make sure you try and focus on that, because you're trying to emulate or replicate what the pros are doing. So in order to do that, you just have to really understand what they're doing and implement it in your own training sessions. So if Odegaard is always cutting in and then doing a little reverse pass into Saka, focus on that. Talk with your winger before the game and say, look, I'm going to drive in and then be ready for a little reverse pass in behind to you for you to do a cutback or a cross. Communication. You have to be obsessed with the players in your position. You have to understand when they don't have the ball, what are they doing? How many times are they scanning their shoulder? How many times are they standing still? Look at Lionel Messi. How many times has he stood still? And then he bursts into life. So you have to make sure you're just becoming obsessed. It should get to a point where you're watching that player live and you know what they're going to do next. If you can become that obsessed, that's how you elevate your game. That's how you become efficient, effective in your position. And that's how you can stand out on the pitch, because you are mastering your position, but not just your position. the player profile in your position. Because football, as we've just said, there are so many different types of players that play in that one position. If you can master the type of player that plays in your position, you will easily stand out amongst the rest. Next question is, do you doubt your own decisions and selections? Do I doubt myself? I never doubt myself because I know that I can never lose from making a decision in football. Anything that happens on the pitch that comes from my decision, I can only learn and benefit from. So I can't lose. So if I can't lose, I'm not going to doubt myself. Just like regret. I can't regret a decision if it has made me wiser and more experienced. I can't do it. If I regret a decision, then I'm saying I'm not happy with the knowledge I have now. So any decision I make, I'm going to be very open-minded, very positive about it. And if it doesn't go well, I'm going to ask myself, why didn't it go well? Did I actually do the planning before? If I didn't plan or if I didn't think about it properly and meticulously, well, guess what? For my next game, I am going to make sure I plan and really think about the pros and the cons and the problems and solutions. And then I'm ready to implement it in the next game. But personally, I can never doubt my decisions. As I said, I can only benefit, I can only win from football. Because anything that happens on the pitch, I'll either win because I see that it works, or I'll learn from it and become a better coach from it, become more knowledgeable, wiser, and more experienced. So I've sort of freed myself from that chain of doubt. I just go into the game very positive, very enthusiastic, because I feel like I've done the work behind the scenes. And if I haven't, the game will reveal it. And then I know, okay, that amount of work that I've done behind the scenes wasn't enough, so I need to do more. No problem. I'm at the stage where I'm always looking at improvement and development because I am process driven. I don't ever want to be defined by the numbers I have on social media or the trophies that I win or the achievements that I accomplish, all of that stuff. I just want to be defined by my commitment to the process. So I just want to look myself in the mirror one day and be like, I've learned so much from just going for it and trying things. And that's what gives me that fulfillment. Personally, I'll never define myself by wins or losses, trophies and failures. I can't do it because that's just an object. That's just a moment. But I'm looking at my commitment to the process, which is far greater than just a moment. Because you could win a trophy by simply having the right players that just do the work for you. And you're not really committed to being the best possible coach you can be. Because you could be at a level where your players are so good, they will just get the job done, and you're just there as a coach. You win the trophy. Okay, cool, well done. You won the trophy. But personally, I'm not comfortable with that. Because personally, if I'm in that situation, I wouldn't have committed myself truly and fully to the process. So I always like that challenge because that means I can discover more about myself after that challenge. Because every challenge, every setback, if you can find a way around it, you've benefited from it. You are a better coach. You are wiser. You're more experienced. This applies to anything in life. This applies to any aspect in life, business, relationships, whatever it is. If you can suffer in that setback, if you can find solutions within that setback, you'll look back on yourself in 2 days, 3 days, even years or weeks, or whatever it is. You'll look back and be like, you know what? I'm happy I went through that. And that's the feeling I search for. I look at process driven, not basing my worth or basing who I am on the trophies that I win. It's the process. It's the fact that, okay, can I get my team to be better than they were last week? Can I get this player to be better than they were the day before? Can I improve the team? Can I improve myself? And when you are committed to the process, guess what? You end up winning that trophy. You end up succeeding because you're only focused on each step of the way. You're not focused here. You're focused here, then here. Then each and every single step of the way, you're giving your 100% effort, energy, attention. And then once you've accomplished that step, it's the next step. You're not even looking at the end goal because when you reach that end goal, there's something else to achieve. So that never ends. So you have to focus on the process, on the person you become during that process. And that right there is what I love about being a football coach, being a football manager. Everything about that is what keeps me alive. It's what gives me unlimited energy. Realizing that I can't be defined by an object. I'm defined by how much I commit myself to the process. And that's in my control. So I can lose myself in this process and get completely lost and really dive in to each and every step. And then I have more knowledge to conquer the next problems, the next setbacks that will come my way. Because football, anything in life, there's never ending problems. So we have to mentally be ready to find solutions and continue to go. As a football player, how do I stay motivated? A very good question, but I personally don't believe in being motivated. Because if you are really interested in developing as a footballer, you just get up and you do it. You just do the work that's required to be a better player. You don't need motivation to improve. It's a commitment to yourself to be a better player, to be a better person than you were yesterday. So motivation wouldn't be needed for that. Because when you have motivation, that will die out. It's like a candle. It will be there temporarily, and then when it goes, you're like, oh, I need to light that candle again. So motivation is temporary. It's your vision. It's your drive that is permanent. So you need to find that. What is it that you want to achieve in football as a player and as a coach? This applies to a coach as well. So for example, if your aim is to be a professional footballer, what's the process that gets you there? And that's not your motivation. That's your process. That's your drive. That's your purpose. Your purpose, your drive is to literally focus on each and every single step of the way to becoming a professional footballer. But if you need the motivation to focus on every step, then maybe you need to explore, do I really want to become a professional footballer? Because there are certain things within our lives that we don't need motivation for. And we all need to find that. And once you find that, you'll realize that motivation doesn't exist. You'll have infinite energy because that inspiration, that vision drives you much further than the motivation. So to stay motivated, it's to first ask yourself, what do I want to achieve in football? And really sit and explore that question. What is it? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Whatever it is, if that really resonates with you, I promise you'll wake up one day, not need the motivation, and you'll just do the work that's required. And it won't even seem difficult. The work is the process, and you actually enjoy it. Whatever it is, you know that, okay, to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. Okay, cool. Just like you brush your teeth, just like you eat and drink, it's the same thing. Whatever you really want to achieve, you'll just do it anyway, regardless of your feelings. So more than the motivation, start to look for the drive, start to look for the inspiration, start to look for what you really want to achieve, start to understand your vision, your purpose, and that's what will give you the infinite drive, the limitless drive, where you wake up one day and be like, motivation, I don't need it, I'm just going to go and do it. So my advice is search for the thing that makes you forget about time. And once you find that, I promise you'll never need motivation. As a football player, how do I stop being nervous before a game? Now, this is a very commonly asked question, and I personally think the more you try and fight a feeling, the more powerful it becomes. So if you're trying not to feel nervous before a game, guess what you're going to feel? Nerves. Just like if you're about to take a penalty and you're saying, don't miss, don't miss, don't miss, don't miss. What are you most likely going to do? You're most likely going to miss that penalty. Same thing applies with fighting nerves, with fighting anxiety before a match. You've got to realize that is natural. It's been scientifically proven, and you can search this for yourself, that excitement and nerves have the same biological reaction within the human body. So the only difference is you interpreting excitement as nerves. So from now on, whenever you feel those butterflies in your stomach, whenever you feel that feeling before the game where you might think it's nerves, just reframe your mind and think it's excitement. I'm actually excited to show off my ability in a match. How good is it that I've trained so much, I've trained very well, I'm in the right state of mind, and now it's showtime. Now I'm just going to perform. That's excitement. The other side of it is, oh my God, I've trained so much, I don't want all my hard work to go to waste, so I'm going to play safe in the game. But what if I make a mistake and then the fans laugh at me, or my team starts to shout at me, or the coach takes me off in the first 10 minutes and humiliates me? That's the nerves. That's being nervous. It's down to you to pick which one it is, because you are always in control with what you tell yourself. So is it, I'm feeling excited? How good is it that my body is telling me that I'm excited? Let's go. It's showtime. Or are you telling yourself, oh, these butterflies, I'm pretty sure this player doesn't feel that. I'm pretty sure that player doesn't feel that. Or maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not ready. No, it's down to you to pick which one to think. So next time you have those feelings within your body, it's all excitement. Start to reframe. Start to know that it's excitement. It's actual excitement. Research it online. It's biological proof that excitement and nerves have the same reaction in the body. So mentally, you have to reframe how you see nerves. It's excitement. You are excited. And then the next bit is having the fearlessness to go into a game and make as many mistakes as possible and just continue to go like a goldfish. Goldfish mentality. If you look at Neymar, Messi, if you look at any of the best players that we talk about, their biggest strength was their ability to bounce back from mistakes. They never saw it as a mistake. They just saw it as a moment, as an event, and they just continued going. So Messi could give the ball away. The next time he gets it, he goes on a dribble and scores. If Messi was really affected by the time he gave the ball away, he wouldn't be Lionel Messi. These are the key differences between the elite players and the good players. Good players focus on the first few actions in a game. If it's going well, they play well. Elite players know that if one action doesn't go to plan, that doesn't define them as a footballer. That's one event, that doesn't define them, and they focus on the next one. And then if that doesn't go well, they focus on the next one. They focus on the process. They focus on, okay, I gave the ball away. Why did that happen? Maybe I didn't scan. Okay, next time I get the ball, I'm going to scan, receive the ball, and play. That's the difference between thinking like an elite player and thinking like a good player. You never ever want to base your performance on your first few actions in a game, because what if your first few actions are you giving the ball away from trying a good pass? Or what if your first few actions you haven't won your 1v1 battles? Who do you become in that moment? Who do you become when the first few actions are not going to plan? Do you rise or do you fall? That is all down to you. And that comes from you realizing that every single action in football is different, is separate. They are not linked. Nothing is linked in football. There are no linked actions in football when you're playing. So one bad pass does not mean that the next pass is a bad pass or a misplaced pass. Or as a striker, if you've missed an open goal, it does not mean that the next cross that comes in, you're going to miss the open goal. Or if you're a centre-back and you've just missed your first header, if you think that you're going to miss the second header, most likely you are. But if you tell yourself, that's just one moment, that's just an action, that's in the past, I'm going to focus on the next. Maybe my body positioning, maybe my anticipation, maybe I need to drop earlier, really keep my eye on the ball and then head it, just like I've done in training, just like I've done in previous games. You cannot let one action in a game define you, because that's not fair on you. You've done so much work behind the scenes, you've done so much training, you've played well in previous games, so just because one action hasn't gone well within one game, that means absolutely nothing. That should mean absolutely nothing to you. Goldfish mentality. Goldfish mentality is you've given the ball away once, but you're hungry. You want to get it back. You want to try again. As a winger, your first 1v1 dribble hasn't worked out. Your second 1v1 dribble hasn't worked out. The third time you get the ball, you could play safe, or you could say, you know what? Those two actions, I've forgotten about them. They don't define me. I'm going to go again. Having that fearless mentality when it comes to a game. Understanding that you've done all the work behind the scenes and now it's actually showtime. And in a show, things may not go to plan. But if you persist, if you stick to the next action mentality and you always focus on how you can be a better player in your next action within the game, that's where you become an elite player mentally. That's when you can really tap in to the 1% of footballers who just keep going. If you look at Ian Robin, the amount of times he made errors, he gave the ball away. And the next time he got the ball, there was a bit of arrogance about him. He just kept going. And as a footballer, if you want to tap into that type of mentality, you just have to understand that no action is linked and no action defines you as a footballer. It's all separate and it's all about the next action. If you've genuinely done the work behind the scenes, you've done the analysis work, you've done the gym work, you've done the training, you've done the mental work, you've had a good diet, you've trained well, all of that means that you're ready for showtime. And you cannot let one bad action put all of that hard work to waste. That is not fair on you, and logically, it just doesn't make sense. So anything that happens in a game is a moment, it's a singular action, and it does not mean that your next action will be the same. It's all separate. You have to mentally understand that and implement it in your next training session, in your next game, and start to change the way you see your actions within a game. It might take time, it is a process, but if you stick with it long enough, you'll get to a stage where you genuinely don't care about your previous action. Because you could score a really good goal and then you could get complacent during the game. And then you could lose your momentum because you're thinking, oh, I've scored an amazing goal, I'm fine. No, that's a great goal you've scored, by the way, but It's the next action. What are you doing next? Are you still executing the game plan that the coach has given you? So football is always about the next action, and no action is linked. That's the two key pieces of advice that I really want you guys to take away, because that is the difference between you being a good player and an elite player. And that's it. I can't believe I spoke for that long. That's not like me. I'm sick of my own voice. So anyway, I hope you gained a lot of value from this episode 2 of my podcast. As I said, I was the guest today and the host. So I really hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, see you in episode 3, where hopefully I have a guest, because I'm very bored of myself. I hope you don't get bored of me though, because I always post online. I'm posting on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, 2-3 times a day. And yeah, drop in the comments below what you gained from this episode. If there's anything more you'd like to see from me, I'm all ears. As I said, I'm very open-minded. But until next time, peace.